All right. Welcome everyone to the December meeting. Oh, I think I got it. Okay, there we go. All right. So my name is Trish Long. I'm the chairperson of the New Jersey Geospatial Forum, and this is our second hybrid meeting, our last meeting of the year. And glad to see people in the room and online. Okay, so the first item on the agenda is, I'm going to switch some things around here a little bit. I'm going to do announcements first, and the first announcement I have is the results of the election for the executive committee. We had 4 positions up for election this year, and I'll just go in order here. We have for federal rep, Stephen Caller will be representing taking my place as the federal rep to you. He's with USGS. Congratulations to Stephen. For the regional MPO constituency group, we've got Mark Gaddy, who is not here, but I think he's online. He will be continuing as the regional rep, and he's with DVRPC. For the professional land surveyor position, we've got Ambrose Minor, who is taking over for Gary. So congratulations to Ambrose. And then finally, taking over for the NGO constituency group, it's Ken Fung with the Land Conservancy of New Jersey taking over for Tanya. So congratulations to everyone, and thanks to all who served in their terms. And I encourage anyone who's interested in getting more involved. Executive committee is a great way to stay informed and to meet people and to basically help out the GIS community in New Jersey. All right, so those are my announcements. I've got a couple, I think we'll go down now through the list for constituency group updates. And the first one, we'll have Brian, you have some announcements you want to make?
Morning, everyone. Thanks, Trish. There we go. Morning, everyone. So my name is Brian Embley. I'm the GIO for state of New Jersey, New Jersey Office of GIS. And I have a few updates from our office, things going on since we met last a couple months ago, something like that. So last time I was here, I talked a lot about NextGen 911 grants from the state of New Jersey to counties, right, to enable them to do get GIS data ready for NextGen 911. So we kind of talked about how that works. So that grant closed since we met last, and we had a really great turnout. So very, very pleased there. The state had this money and was making it available for counties to use to hire contractors to get this data compliance work done for NextGen. So we had a really great turnout. We were expecting, last year we had 4 counties apply. This year I was thinking, maybe a little more than that, and we might have to hire work off a contract to get more. But we had 9 counties apply, right? So that's wonderful. Thank you if you were involved in getting your county to apply for this funding. That really makes it work. The formal awards have not been made yet, so I'm not going to give any further details, but we had 9 counties apply. So if you're involved in that for your county, or talking with your clients, if you're a consultant, thank you for making that effort. The formal announcements will go out sometime soon, certainly before the holidays. So that's really great. We also did a parcel data update on the parcel layer with the Mod 4 data, right, since we were here last. So believe it or not, the new Mod 4 data for us is from 2022. We only get it once a year. That's matched up with the parcels, and we had updates for a few counties. We had parcel data from Atlantic, Essex, and Somerset, and some new block and lot numbers in the city of Elizabeth. So that's up on the NJGIN website and available for download and in all our various assorted map services. Also, we are working on a release of boundary updates for jurisdictional boundaries, county, municipality, that kind of stuff. We have this data. We've been sitting on it for a bit to support the Division of Elections. They had a timeline we were helping out. That's passed, so we're looking to release that probably by the end of the month, and that'll be up on NJGIN. You can download it, or it'll be in all our map services usual places. Last thing is, you might recall that we run a geocoding service for the state of New Jersey, right? It's an ArcGIS server powered service, runs here at OIT. It uses the road and address data that's available for download. You can do interactive, geocoding. It also does batch geocoding if you need to do large tables of, address records. You can do that. So we're doing an update to that. So we update that every month when we release the address data and road data every month. And it's first week of December, so we just did a release, right? It also updates the geocoder. This time with the geocoder, we made some functional enhancements to it as well. We kind of tweaked some things under the cover so it'll give you better matches and more matches. And we have another round of changes that were enhancements we're going to make. Again, behind the scenes, just to make it work better, be more reliable, get you more matches. So we're starting to put a change log of these changes up on our geocoding page. And we plan to continue to improve that over time and maybe start adding in some other information to it that's returned when you geocode an address. So there is a change log that's there now, and we'll carry forward in the future. And that is it from us. That's it from OGIS. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Brian. The next constituency group I have, is Mark here? Or I thought I had a note from Mark that he had an announcement, but he's not here.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. All right. Go ahead.
First of all, Trish had thanked everybody who had sat on the board and who aren't going to be on the next one. Trish actually has been replaced because she had served 2 terms. I'd like to thank you, Trish, for running the executive board. It's not always an easy job. It's a lot of emails going back and forth. The MPOs, I got a email from the Highlands who wanted to let everybody know that there is an RFQ out for GIS services. It went out on our listserv, but you can also find it at their homepage, nj.gov, NJ Highlands. And for DVRPC, we have finished our regional trails inventory, and it's live. The easiest way to get to that is dvrpc.org and click on the data center tab. We'll be updating and making improvements on that continuously. That's all I have.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Great. The next announcement I have is from Scott, our state rep.
Tweak that a little. Just 2 quick things for state constituency group. Number 1 is a big one, and that is DEP has released the 2020 land use land cover data. This can be found on the Open Data Portal, either at NJGIN or on the DEP site. And it is as usual, the big, robust data set that everyone's come to know and love. And other things, just one other item was that I know you guys get the emails that I send, like kind of cajoling you to give me the updates that you guys are doing, the data sets that you're making, the apps that you're making to present to the group. And I'm just doing it live to try to get more people to come in and present their stuff to the forum. I know all the different groups in the state constituency are doing some really great projects, and we'd all love to see it. So that's it for me. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Scott. I think that's it for the constituency group reports. I didn't hear any other or get any other announcements from anyone, but oh yeah, we do have an announcement. Yeah, that's right. Come on up.
I'd like to follow with Matt Garissa, a board member. A couple announcements. We're going to be rolling into our busy season, actually. So a couple things. First, we have a couple open trustee positions. So looking for some help if you're interested. The easiest way to get in contact is through info@macgarissa.org, I think, or just reach out to one of the trustees. It's on our website who we are. Two of us are in the room right now. So if you're here and you want to in person talk to us, that's great. We could really use the help because we have a lot coming up this year. First is our next webinar is going to be a hybrid for those who, so it's a little bit of a logistics here, but it'll be on the 13th of December, and it'll have its typical virtual remote session. The invite for that to register has already gone out, but if you are attending the Esri MUC in Philadelphia, there will be an in-person component. So if you're registered for the MUC already, you can just attend our session there in one of the rooms. Esri was kind enough to give us some space to work there. So it'll be a unique opportunity to do an in-person and remote, and then there'll be an opportunity for a in-person virtual networking component of that as well. So looking forward to that. We also have our next MAP hour, which will be in early 2024. More to come on that, but it will be in New Jersey. So for all the folks here, definitely like to see you. It'll probably be somewhere centrally located. And then the last thing is the save the date for the 2024 Mac conference went out. I believe that's going to be in the middle of October. So start planning because we'd love to see you there as well. Thanks.
I just want to say, add to this,
Did I miss one there?
the election is end of this month.
Oh.
So if you're interested, please sign up.
Yeah, just for those on the call, and I forgot to mention, thank you, Deepa. The election will be at the end of the month. So if you're interested in that, in supporting us as a trustee, just get to us sooner than later. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Good to hear from Mac Garissa and all the stuff going on there. All right, now at this part of the meeting, we open it up to any other announcements, if anybody has any. I don't know. That's okay. We have one in the back there.
Well, I just wanted to introduce myself.
Okay.
Some of you may know Wednesday, Thursday. Tuesday, pre-conference workshops. Wednesday, Thursday, conference.
Okay.
You're planning on attending or want to attend, still contact that group. There's also the Fed GIS conference in Washington, D.C., which is the 13th. Oh.
Yeah, so I can just, you want to, so this is an announcement from Esri about upcoming activities.
So I just wanted to mention the MUC conference, which is Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, pre-conference and Thursday. And we also have the Fed GIS, which is the 13th and 14th of February. So if you'd like to attend those conferences, please contact an Esri rep or Esri in general. Thank you.
Yeah, this is Seth Finnick, and the only thing I have to add with Fed GIS, we are giving free registration to state and local government within a 100-mile radius of the Washington Convention Center. If you have questions or are interested in attending, contact your Esri account manager. right? And we can work with you on that registration process. But great conference. Think of it as a mini international user conference. I highly recommend if you can get there. It is a fantastic conference. A lot of technical sessions from the product team, some great plenary presentations from the federal government. Many of you partner with and provide data to the states and local government. So if you can attend, reach out to either Bruce, Justin can help with that, or myself.
Okay, thanks, guys. All right, so, oh, we got another announcement. Come on up.
Hi, this is Eliza Gross from the USGS National Geospatial Program. I just want to give a quick update on our data collaboration announcement. We had a data collaboration announcement for the 3D elevation program, which I know New Jersey did apply for. So the status on that is we had 14 applications come in. 9 of those got accepted. They're working on getting the acceptances out now. So if you haven't heard anything, maybe be patient. And then they're working on the remaining 5 too. I think some of them were co-op agreements. And as far as the 3D hydrography program data collaboration announcement goes, they just started reviewing the applications this week. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I mean, that's cool. Yeah, it's not that bad. And I think we've got 2.
Someone's not muted. Okay, there we go. Just an update to what Eliza said. New Jersey did get accepted. So our proposal for the LiDAR acquisition for the 4 counties, Mercer, Burlington, Gloucester, and Camden, did get accepted. So we'll be getting some data in the coming year. All right, that's any other announcements from anyone in the room?
It looks like there's an announcement.
Okay.
This was the problem we had. There's an announcement, statewide planning, statewide strategies office at NJ.gov has a new director, Megan Fackler. He replaces Andrew Swartz, who retired at the end of November. Just in case you all didn't hear that.
So everyone online saw that because it was in the chat. Okay, so I don't need to repeat that. So we're good. Okay, great. Anyone else? Okay, so we're at the speaker presentation part of our meeting, and this will be Brian Embley, who we all know, and he'll be updating us on Engine.
Thanks, Trish. Yep. Okay, hi again. I'm going to talk about discovery of data and sharing data in New Jersey, right? Common topic. Matt, you have a question?
I have a question regarding your previous announcement about data.
Okay.
Do you apply topology rules down to the parcels?
Not yet. Okay, let me repeat that question. We had a question in the room, and for those of you on Teams, can't hear it. So good question. I mentioned we are releasing jurisdictional boundaries. And the question was, do we have topology where we adhere that down to the parcels that are underneath that, right? So we work really hard to make sure that the parcel boundaries and the jurisdictional boundaries are coincident, but we don't have a topology in place, right? I'm looking at you, Steve. But we want to. We don't have that running in production today.
Adjustments to the boundaries from the parcel.
Right. True, right. So we work really hard, but we don't to make them match. We do want to have a topology though between those. We have lots of other layers that are coincident with the jurisdictional boundaries. We do want to use topology rules to do that, but it's maybe a 2024 project. It's a good question. Thank you. There was also a question in the chat about the Esri state contract. Should have mentioned this earlier. Still not in place. Esri side and the state division of purchasing and procurement are working on it. So we have had some movement since we met last. DPP on the state side finished up their reviews. I got to see some of that in the process, and then submitted that over to the Esri team. Esri team's reviewing it, right? And I think the next step is those two are going to come back with Esri's feedback and come together, and hopefully that'll be it. But we just don't know. Like, we're caught in the middle, and all you guys are caught in the middle here as these, lawyers are negotiating stuff. So I wish I had better news, but that's where it's at. So for updates, on the Engine website, we have a page about state contracts, and we actually update that as soon as it's available. We'll get it there. We'll probably broadcast it out through the email listserv as well, because it's pretty important. A number of organizations are waiting on that. So that's where that's at.
Question came in for your own contracts. Question came in about the LiDAR flight data. Discuss potential hydro and forest and data to include bridges and culverts. Do we have a contract to do that? Contract for LiDAR flight data to discuss the potential to hydro and forest the data to include bridges and culverts.
Not sure what the answer is to that. So.
Oh, okay. The question is there a contract? Oh, contact. I'm sorry. Do we have a contact for that? Sorry. Thank you, Scott. Misreading.
So, I mean, the state DEP folks are the technical lead on that, the Northeast LiDAR collection, the 6 counties around New York City. So off the top of my head, I don't know the answer to that question. If you know John Tarosky, you could email him. You could email me, and I'll have my email on one of the slides after this.
Thank you.
Also on the elevation, right, Eliza and Trish just talked about it. The next round of elevation around the Philly area, we call it the DVRPC region, right? Those 4 counties. So that's moving forward. There's still time, though, if you're able to contribute funds to that. There's a handful of state agencies and NRCS and Transit that are funding that. The bulk of it does end up on DEP. So, if I don't know, if Santa leaves you some money in your budget at the end of the year, like reach out to me or reach out to John Tarosky at DEP, and it's still not too late to contribute funds. We really appreciate that. Okay, so let me get into my presentation here. So I want to talk about data sharing and discovery. I've got some slides. Let's see if I can actually do this. All right, I think it's happening. So I want to talk about how to find GIS data and how to share it in New Jersey, right? For folks that have been around for a long time, this is a familiar topic that's been around for decades, and it just, it's still something that we need to do, and the technology gets better and better. So that makes it a little easier and easier as time goes on. But as GIS folks, you guys probably recognize in your projects, the single most expensive part of a project is getting high quality data, right? I read some study recently that if you're starting a GIS project that doesn't have the data that you need, that can often be 70% of your project budget. Right, so if you have data, then you can put your money and your resources into doing the good stuff for your project, the tools and the analysis and the output. But if we don't have the data, then you better get out your checkbook, right? So this has led to, as we know, right, in the GIS community, there's a long history of data sharing because of this fact, long history, right? And that goes back decades and through different types of technology, sending data around on drives. I remember copying things to floppy disks, and the state used to distribute CDs and DVDs of data. We used to have hard drives mailed in, and we would fill them up with data and snail mail them back, right? But our community is kind of unique in the IT space in that way. We've been doing this for a long time as GIS professionals. And also legally, there used to be a lot of A lot of concern about liability. Remember data sharing agreements? There's not too many of these left, but a lot of organizations would require you to sign a data sharing agreement, and they would only share the data with anyone who signed the agreement, nobody else. And then luckily that's largely gone away. And now we're in the era of open data, right? The concept of open data, open sharing, and that's the GIS community and beyond, right? So lots of governments have open data portals. There's all kinds of government data sets available. So, GIS goes with that trend as well. So we've always had this tradition of, I need data, it's very expensive, find it. And then if I have data, of sharing it too, right? There's also, I look at it as a responsibility. If we have authoritative content, it's our duty to share it with other folks who might be able to use it. Seeing a delay in my slides here. We'll just go with it. So in New Jersey, we have, also that long history of data sharing, and we actually have kind of this loose, informal data sharing network, this federated data sharing network that just lives out there. Folks serving up their data using different technologies to anyone who wants to use it, and it's free and open. Early on in the early aughts, the state had funding and was seeding technology to local governments to stand up GIS servers with their data, make it publicly available. Back then, it was very expensive, very complicated, right? But there was a data network, a loose data network of maybe 8 to 10 data servers across the state data, county data, some city data. Today, this has grown organically, right? As technology has grown, now it's a lot easier to publish your data online, right? We've got great SaaS offerings like ArcGIS Online makes it real easy to share your data, post it online. Even if you don't have a server and you don't have the IT support to do that, still, the technology tools are out there. That's great. So this network has grown. It's not a few data nodes with big, expensive, complicated servers. It's dozens and dozens of kind of points across the map, right, of data that's being shared. And that data is often map services you can consume directly, data downloads, sometimes data files. Also, the ability to actually share data, the tools have gotten better, right? Esri has ArcGIS Hub, and that has the Open Data app in it. It's really great. We've been using that for a number of years. Makes it really easy to stand up a data portal for your GIS content. Years ago, that was really hard. In the early aughts, we stood up back then we called it a GIS clearinghouse, right? And it was kind of clunky technology that you could search for GIS data, and we had to have this catalog of metadata records that we would import into the thing. We'd have to manually update it, and you would find what you're looking for, and it would have the phone number of somebody to call to get it on disk, right? So we've come a long way, but we've been doing this for a long time in New Jersey, and we're at a really good place now. So here's some of the organizations that we partner with. We kind of consider our partners in data sharing and discovery, state agencies, some county governments, right? So there's lots of data out there, but it's still the age-old problem of how do I find the data that I need for my project, right? All these organizations I happen to know are sharing authoritative GIS data publicly. Many of them have open data portals of their own, right? DEP's on here, they have a great one, right? DEP has so much data to share. Thank you, DEP, for constantly doing that, right? I think DCA was working on one, DOT is working on one, Monmouth County has one, Somerset County has one, Sussex County has one, DVRPC has one, Highlands Council has one, right? So data's out there, portals are out there. How do you find them? How do you find them? You know where they are, or you Google it, right? And Google's pretty good. It'll index a lot of this stuff. Sometimes you'll actually find an individual record for, building footprints for Monmouth County, New Jersey. Often you won't, though. You get weird results because it doesn't index exactly the way we envision GIS data. right? And that's where our the Engine open data portal can help. So what's different about the Engine portal from all those other organizations' portals is it works the same way, it uses the same technology, but our staff actually takes the time to catalog and index data from any other open data portal that we can find in New Jersey, and even data sets from partners that don't have open data portals. We actually curate that and make it available in the Engine portal. So it's a great place to start. I just want to make sure you folks are thinking when you're looking for data for a project, please start there. Go ahead, Google it. If you know the website of a particular data publisher, you want to go there straight, great. But if you have no idea, Google it and then go to njgin.nj.gov, that blue search box on the right, links up to the open data portal, or just go to the portal. It's a longer URL. It's in the bottom of that slide there. So I want to talk a little bit about how that works, right? So how do we index all the data from these other organizations? There's a little bit of technology magic, which is kind of cool, but it's a lot of manual curation. Our staff actually looks at every data set that is cataloged there. A couple of things that we keep in mind as we're adding content is we don't copy data into the Engine portal. It's not a static copy that we get from the authoritative source. It's a live pointer to their map service or their data file that they prepare. So they have full control. As soon as they update it, boom, we're pointing to it. It's not a copy. That's important. A lot of data portals are copies that are ingested in. The state's, New Jersey's data.nj.gov works that way. There's copies of state data put in a system, and that's what people can see. This is live to the publishers, so that's great. So you're getting data live, maybe from a map service often, and then the owners of that data, they have full control of it. So when they want to make a data update, you see it immediately. If they need to take it down, make a change, they pull it down, it's just poof, it's gone. It's not like, oh, I have to call the state now and ask them to take down the copy that they have in the Engine portal. It's just live, right? Of course, it's all the data in here is free to use. It's all public, right? So there's no sensitive stuff here. We just focus on public data. The technology can handle private, but we don't want to go there at this time. That gets really complicated for us. And we do focus exclusively on New Jersey original content, right? So we're looking for data that comes out of the community, authoritative data from New Jersey, right? So the feds have lots of data that covers New Jersey, but they have their own means to index and share that. We're focused on this community and getting your data published and findable, right? So we're not clipping federal data sets and putting them here or that kind of stuff. There's federal portals for that, data.gov and such. Right, so New Jersey focused. And some numbers, because you guys know I like metrics, right? Last month, we had 17,000 searches in the Engine portal. That's pretty good. It's interesting. I looked at numbers from 4 years ago when we first released it. But at that time, we were getting about 13,000 searches, right? So when I think about that, so it's increased a little bit. That's good, 4 years later. But back then, we were like the only open data portal in New Jersey. 4 years later, there's lots of organizations have them. And yet we're still getting a lot of traffic. So that's great. How much data is in here? I just checked last night, 770 data sets. 770. That's a lot, guys. So if you're looking for something, I encourage you to check here. Now, we do have a lot of, we do cut up the parcel data by county and publish it in 2 different formats. There's 40, right? But still, there's a lot of data sets here from different organizations. Downloads last month. So, right, the way these open data portals and the Engine portal work is most of the content are map services running on a server or ArcGIS Online. And when you download it, it usually extracts it live, right? So Engine had over 1,700 data downloads last month. And then for large data sets, there's a we do it a little bit differently. DEP2, or also in that, like for the land use or for the parcels for the whole state, we package that up as a zip file for download. And so that those are not counted in the 1700. So it's 1700 and up. We have at least 15 publishers, data stewards indexed there. We would like more. We would love you guys to contribute more. And we spend a lot of effort to make it as easy as possible. So let me try to talk about how the actual technology works here, right? So we're using our GIS Hub, the open data app that's within that. Not really going to talk about the functionality of that app. Most of you guys are familiar with it, or the Esri team does a great job, documenting that. But we have our Hub open data portal at the Office of GIS, right? So when you go to that search interface at the website, either one, the blue one at njgin.nj.gov or straight to that search box I'm showing, it searches our org. If I search for Monmouth County, Monmouth building footprints, example I used earlier, it searches our org. And what we have is we have pointers in our org to all the content that lives in other organizations, ArcGIS Online organizations. So Somerset County is an example, right? They may have building footprints in their org, and we point to it. Highlands Council has a lot of great data for the Highlands too. They have their own org, and we just point to it. So we virtually add those items to our catalog. So when you're searching for those building footprints, it searches our stuff. It'll search Somerset County. It'll search Monmouth County. It'll search Highlands, all those partner organizations that I talked about. And what's happening is, it's just a pointer. It's not like we have a copy of it, like I said earlier. It's hard to explain that in a slide, but there's because all the data is public, there's a cool way that we can find those items and add them to groups in our org and make them searchable from our org. So let's see what else. So we talked about data sharing agreements, right? Thankfully, those days are behind us. Everything that's here is just free and available. We do prioritize state data, like I said, but also authoritative content, right? So sometimes you'll see state data like DEP land use clipped to a county, and a county puts it in their county open data GIS portal. Totally cool for the county. But we don't really want that in the engine portal, because if you're going to get the land use, get it from DEP because it's their data and they have it for the whole state. And if you just need it clipped already for that county, well, go to their portal. So we actually will look through that county's portal, look at every data set, and kind of manually apply that kind of criteria as to whether it gets included here. So we're trying to, while we like that number of 770 items up, we don't want like duplicative data sets that are just clipped for smaller jurisdictions. And we do prefer map service because people can use them live as opposed to like a zipped up data file. Like I mentioned, that's a technique for really, really big data sets where that live extraction is difficult. So that's kind of how it works, right? We use our org to index all these data assets that are out there in the wild. So here's just a screenshot I took earlier this morning of some of the content that's in there, a bunch of items from different organizations, right? So the way we handle data items that we want to include is a little bit different, right? What I just described is kind of what we often do with counties. We'll have a county partner, maybe Sussex County was an early adopter, and we will manually curate the data that Sussex has and include it in, right? Sometimes, there might be a data set that's for their planning department that's, data that is used for a particular project and not of general use. We won't include that. So we manually go through and curate that. But Sussex County does use ArcGIS Online. They do use ArcGIS Hub and have their own open data site. Great, makes it really easy for us. Another example is state agency from the Department of Agriculture, right? The State Agriculture Development Committee. So they're the folks who manage the Farmland Preservation Program they have a couple of GIS data sets that are really valuable, right? They have data showing farms that are preserved. But they're not a big GIS shop. They don't really use their own ArcGIS Online for a lot of stuff. They don't run their own open data portal, but we help them out, right? We have their data, we work with them, we post it, make it available, and it's available to find. And that's great. We're happy to help them out. They're a very small shop, but good data, so we want that available to everybody. Contrast that with a very mature and capable organization like DEP, right? Hundreds of data sets. They run their own open data portal. Awesome. You can go there and find the 2020 land use, right? So we have a partnership with them where everything that they release for use through their open data portal automatically just shows up in the Engine open data portal, right? We don't actually curate that at all because it's all state. It meets all our criteria. It's all state. It's all well documented. DEP does a great job writing metadata, right? So we don't have to check it at all. So just keep that in mind. If you're searching Engine, you are seeing all DEP stuff. That's all in there too, because they just have a wealth of data. And then of course our content is in there, and we just manage that ourselves using a group. So depending on how organizations publish data, we're adaptable. We just want to make the data set available, whether we're just connecting into something that you already have, or you just have a data set, you don't know what to do, we'll figure it out and we'll make it available. Just reach out to us. So how do you actually share data? Right, so we're looking for data that's comes from the authoritative source, right, rather than a copy of a copy that you got from somebody. We want it from the authoritative source. Often that's in a map service, or if you have an open data portal, we can work with that too. If we know the URL, we can use that to access and catalog your content. There is a documentation aspect, right? Metadata is a factor here. So while these catalogs, today's technology doesn't necessarily search just the metadata record like the old technology used to do in the old clearinghouse days, it is still important to document your data set, right? So state agencies have some standards, which I'll talk about in a second. And we try to make this as easy as we can. If you don't use ArcGIS Online, but you have a data set that you want to share, just email us. That njgin.nj.gov, that's our kind of general inbox for our office. So we monitor that. And we'll be happy to figure it out, even if we have to, do some extra work to help get your data set published. We'll put it in our org if that's the best option. So please don't feel like you need to be using that technology to share your data. We're happy to do the technology part for you. So let's talk a little bit more about metadata, right? Everyone's favorite topic, right? If you're a state agency, we do have a standard in New Jersey where everybody should be adhering to this federal standard, right? So here come the acronyms. The Federal Geographic Data Committee, FGDC, set a standard many years ago called the Content Standards for Geospatial Metadata, CSDGM. That's our official metadata standard in New Jersey. So when we publish something to be consumed, our office, DEP, other state agencies are supposed to adhere to that. Now, most of us do. It takes effort, right? You got to write it, you got to check it. It's actually saved us a couple of times in the last year where we've gotten folks using our data, kind of inquired, and they wanted to use it in an inappropriate way, right? And we said, whoa, did you read the metadata? Because it's not really made for that. And it's like saved us from heartache and who knows what kind of liability down the road. So, keep that in mind, right? There's a whole standard. There's the URL if you want to read about it. And that's the standard for state agencies. I encourage all of you that publish to use this standard. It is a lot of work, though. The tools have gotten better, however, right? So there's metadata editors right in ArcGIS Online. Here's a picture of the latest AGO metadata editing tool. Of course, the other Esri tools, Our catalog does a good job, does a good job. All that can feed up and get published with your data. So the tools have gotten better. They're not as clunky as they used to be. We've made some effort here in New Jersey to have an abbreviated metadata standard for non-state agencies, right? You might be familiar with this. We've had this for a while. We call it the Engine Core metadata. Standard's a strong word. Guidance, how about that? It's that from that CSDGM standard, it's like 12 data elements, information elements. And it's the key stuff like describing what the data set is and contact information and any other important stuff that you need to know. We have a white paper on that on the Engine website. One of the things we're looking at doing in 2024 is revisiting Engine Core. We want to streamline it even more, right? So we think we can maybe cut out some of these elements, and certainly we think we can streamline the help document there, the white paper, so that it's easier for folks. We don't want the barrier to sharing your data to be, oh, I don't have time to write metadata. My boss doesn't give me time to write it. We want it to be easy enough that you can take a little bit of time and author some metadata that will help folks using your stuff, but also protect you from somebody doing something inappropriately. So we are going to improve that. So keep your eye on that. And that's really it, folks. I just wanted to remind you that when you're looking for data and you're not sure, the Engine portal is your friend, right? We wanted to do this kind of reminder because that Engine email inbox that's on the slide, actually, we get emails to that, people going, where can I find such and such data set? And it's in the Engine portal. They just don't know or forget to look. We just send them the link. So please, if you've been around a while, you're familiar with this, but if this is new to you, go to the Engine portal first. All those other portals are indexed there. If you have data to share, that's just as important, right? We need it in there, and we can make it really easy. We just need the URL of your org, and we can do most of the heavy lifting after that. So that's all I have. I want to wrap up. Any questions in the room, in the chat? Matt, Trish has a question in the room.
Yeah, my question is, like you just had about people, they're
So Trish is asking, is there like a common data set that we get asked about a lot that's readily available online? You know, I don't know. If Maya Thomas were here, she would know, because she reads the inbox for us. But I mean, things that like are, you know, we get, is there parcel data available for such and such a county? Yes, here's the link. Like, it's just, please, it's self-service, give it a try. Are there any questions in the chat, Matt?
I see.
Yeah. So,
first of all, Brian, great work. Awesome site. Are there any gaps that you're trying to close when you think about data sharing with the state?
So good question, Seth. So from Seth, question is, are there any gaps, data gaps that we're looking to close, right? So sure, a few come to mind. So one, that this tech works really great with vector data, right? New Jersey has a wealth of raster imagery, right? So, and we also have a wealth of elevation data collected over years. And we talked about our latest efforts earlier. All that stuff is online, but not readily indexed here. We do have placeholders for that stuff. So if you're searching for elevation data or LiDAR or imagery or orthophotography, we have placeholders that will take it to links on the Engine website to find that stuff. So please know that. Gaps, the one that we struggle with and are struggling with now at our office is local address data, right? So this has become very important. What am I always talking about at these meetings now? The new 911 system that's rolling out, and that is GIS dependent, and it needs address data. That's what those grants were about that I mentioned. a lot of address data, right? In New Jersey, it's assigned at the municipal level. Most munis are too small to have their own GIS department. And maybe a county's doing it, most aren't, because, you know, for whatever reason, they don't get value from it to invest in it. That's a gap there. To be honest, our address point layer is largely based on tax assessor records, mod 4, right? We get that once a year reliably, and we process that and clean that and make points out of it. And then we supplement that as much as we can. When we find out points that are missing, or we get a address point data set from a county, you know, that's gold. We add that in. But there's no formal mechanism there to roll that up. That's a challenge. I mean, NextGen 911 is the immediate business driver, but if you use addresses, I mean, that powers our geocoder too. Think about it. If you can match to an address point, you know where it is rather than interpolating along the street center line. So that's a tough one. But Seth, that's different. It's not like the data's out there and we just can't get to it. It's often that data doesn't exist, or it's locked up in a 911 dispatch system in a town. So that's a challenge for us. Anything else? Matt, anything online? Okay, I am going to hand it back to Trish. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Brian. It's good to kind of review some things that have been around for a while, for new folks and older people who've been around a while. So that topic was something that the executive committee said maybe it's time to review this stuff. So hopefully, OGIS is available for any other questions, and you guys can learn to go to Engine first when you're looking for a data set. I know I learned a few things on that one. Thanks, Brian. I think
there's one question that came in. Right as you were asking it, and then you left. So missed the first part of the meeting due to technical issues. Did you give an update on Central Jersey LiDAR plan for 2024? Does anybody know?
Okay, the question is about, oh yeah. Yeah, actually they can see that in the chat.
Okay.
So yes, New Jersey did get approved for the USGS project to collect LiDAR for the 4 DVRPC counties. So Mercer, Burlington, Camden, and Gloucester will be flown for LiDAR QL1 in 2024. So that hopefully answers that question.
I think it does, yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Trish.
All right. Any other comments, questions from the audience or online?
Yeah, what was the name of the meeting in Washington, D.C. with the 100-mile range exemption? Thanks. From Colin.
That's the Esri Federal GIS User Conference. So I think you said that even if you're not a federal employee, you can attend.
Yeah, if they have questions, have them reach out to their Esri account manager.
Thank you.
So, Seth,
yes,
100-mile radius.
That is this year's
Jersey.
That is just what we get from the events.
What is it, any part of New Jersey within the radius?
I think so. Yeah.
Somebody quick do a buffer.
In attending, we can help you with registration, so do reach out to your account manager.
Yeah, so
we will have about 600 state and local folks attend the Federal GIS conference, so there's a pretty big state and local turnout from the region. So it's not, you're not going to be there with just federal people. There are a lot of other state and local people who will be in attendance. User conference, we're over 300 registrants right now. We're expecting over 350, so it's going to be a pretty sizable event in itself. So if you can attend either one of those events, if you have questions, just reach out to us.
I've been to the federal conference in the past. It's worth the trip. Thank you. And we have a bunch of folks going to the one in Philly, the Mid-Atlantic.
Thanks.
All right, so yeah, contact Esri if you have questions about any of those upcoming conferences. All right, well, with that, I think we can end the meeting. I will just announce the next general meeting date is March 7th. So everyone, hope to see you online and in person then. In the meantime, enjoy the holidays and see you next year. Thank you.
Thank you.